Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ether Hub. I'm Simon, bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. We recently got our first stories for Phyrexia All Will Be One, but those were merely side stories, one of which on Atraxa you can find a video I covered linked on the screen and in the description below. Today, however, we embark on the very first chapter of the official All Will Be One story. These chapters will track our heroes, the Planeswalkers of the expanded Gatewatch, making their way through New Phyrexia on a mission to stop their incursion throughout the multiverse. Will they succeed? And how many will we lose along the way? Today, we finally begin. Remember, if you enjoy our content here, to support us by leaving this video a like, becoming a subscriber, and of course, sharing it with your friends. Now let's get into All Will Be One, Chapter 1, Uncontrolled Descent, written by Shannon McGuire. No one still living had ever witnessed a plane fully completed. Kato Suzuki, a human ninja planeswalker from Kamigawa, did not expect to arrive on New Phyrexia and find pristine beaches. There was no sign that anything more dangerous than sunbathing had happened here, but he had to remember New Phyrexia would soon notice his presence, and quickly, they would turn paradise to peril. Small, strong hands punched him in the face, making him open his eyes. Kato realized that what he'd taken for the sound of waves was metal clashing on metal, people grunting and screaming. His equipment was gone, including his sword and his kami spirit, Himoto, that often accompanied him in the form of a mechanical tanuki. The hand that had punched him belonged to the Wanderer, a planeswalker and Kato's childhood friend from Kamigawa, now grown into a formidable warrior herself. However, her spark was unstable, making it difficult to stay on one plane for very long. She started to phase from existence as she told Kato that they had hit a barrier of electrostatic wind that was somehow affecting all of them. It was hard for her to speak and concentrate on controlling her spark. Near him was Nahiri, a core lithomancer and planeswalker from Zendikar, animating the metallic grains of sand on the beach into a swirling attack aimed at strange Phyrexian creatures made of liquid metal. As the Wanderer tried to keep herself from fading into the blind eternities, she called Nahiri over to explain what happened to Kaito. Nahiri told him that the planar shield of New Phyrexia had scattered their team, leaving only Kaito, the Wanderer, and herself on the beach. The sand had affected them, lulling them into a false sense of security, but would kill them in time. Nahiri's lithomancy is the only thing that saved them, and though the liquid Phyrexian she fought was also lethal, her ability to control metal made the creature no real challenge. It had scratched her on the back of the neck, and her blood was still red. No oil. She had not been a sleeper agent. They need to get to the Furnace Layer, the domain of the Praetor Urabrask, where they had initially intended to land. It was the place where they had all agreed with Jace Beleren to meet the Mirren Resistance. The Wanderer focused all of her energy trying to stay on the plane as they walked through the gleaming landscape. Mirrodin's 5 suns still shone through the fog, giant orbs of mana, one of each color, that had once been hurled from the Lucani when the plane still had been Mirrodin. The Lucani were gravity warping tunnels that led through the layers of the plane down to its core. They approached a stone statue suspended by iron pillars and steel cables. It depicted a short and muscular elf, wearing unique clothes and holding weapons. Nahiri recognized it as a Zendikari Hedron, monolith she had made that could bind enemies of her plane in a prison, namely the Eldrazi Titans. It seems the Phyrexians and their world tree were already creeping onto other planes. They walked closer with caution as the cables suspending the statue writhed into motion, coiling as if ready to strike. The cables tracked Nahiri's motion and drew tighter around its captive, who opened his eyes and started to struggle. They leapt forward, attacking the cable to free the elf. Once the cables withered and dumped him on the ground, the stone drained from his body. He introduced himself as Tyvar Kell, a planeswalker from the plane of Kaldheim, an ally in their fight against New Phyrexia. They had to keep moving, though the Wanderer was flickering in and out of the plane. If she were to leave, they would have to wait for her to planeswalk back. Kaito couldn't leave her alone in this treacherous place. They made it to a sea of tents, inhabited by humans and Leonins. These truly organic beings were a welcoming sight. The Wanderer finally lost her grip on the plane and vanished. At least it happened in a safe place. A human woman with short red hair came out to meet them and introduced herself as Malira, a healer who was immune to Phyrexian oil. She led them through the encampment, telling them that this was the monumental facade, the outermost sphere of the plane dotted with temples and monuments celebrating the Phyrexians. hideous things blotting out the 5 suns for the layers below. Melira led them to a spot where a 10-foot square of ground dropped from under their feet. Nahiri had to take control of the square as they fell through the earth into the next layer. They descended into what the Phyrexians called Mirix, all that remained of Mirrodin before it became New Phyrexia. Melira led them through what remained, a dark wasteland, to the Mirran camp of Lowlight, where they could then get to the furnace layer. They used the gravity-defying tunnels to make their way to the next layer down. As they strode ahead, Melira noticed the bandage on the back of Nahiri's neck, and though she was a healer, she didn't ask how she got it. Not yet. Nahiri hung back to let Melira go ahead of her, so that she could check the bandage over the scratch on her neck. It was small, but it was very irritating. She peeled the bandage back to find no injury, just smooth skin, but it formed into a small protrusion. Nahiri pulled her hand away, seeing not blood, but black, glistening oil on her fingertip. She was infected. She was already lost. She should tell her companions, but what good would it do? They couldn't kill her. She was too strong. She placed the bandage back over the wound, deciding she had to get away from her friends before she became the enemy. The Wanderer gained purchase on the plane of New Phyrexia once again. Around her, the Mirran camp was razed and gone. This had been the place that she left Kato just moments ago. She called for Kato, but no answer, just stillness and silence. She wished it didn't take all of her focus to stay on one place. All she could do was hope for their safety. If they were alive, she would see them again. For now, that had to be enough. It was all she had. And there you guys have it, our first chapter of Phyrexia All Will Be One. Clearly, a lot has happened that we need to discuss. The Wanderer has gone off wandering again, which isn't so surprising, but where are all the other Planeswalkers? Luca, Elspeth, and others? Is this fight already over? Of course, Nahiri being infected was a major point in this story. I don't want to say anything, but I kinda already called her completion in my prediction video. We know just how potent the Phyrexian oil can be, and there's no telling what will happen to her as this progresses. What we do know is that with this story, Wizards of the Coast has revealed a completed Nahiri Planeswalker card new to Phyrexia All Will Be One. This is Nahiri the Unforgiving. How she gets to this point is still something we must learn in the story, but clearly Nahiri as a Phyrexian continues her rather volatile way of dealing with conflicts. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, make sure you leave it a thumbs up, become a subscriber, and share it with your friends. You can catch all of the story videos for All Will Be One linked in the description below. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see ya!